Theys, and Castaways, and welcome back to Sarah and Thomas's Survival Guide.
Yeah, we're in person for the first time.
You get to see our lovely studio.
Yes, our lovely studio. However, it's a bit botched. We are on a phone with recording. Not the wonderful technology in this studio. Thanks, Dennison. Thank you. Let's get right into it, though. Let's look at Spectator Drafts, shall we?
Yep, we should look at that.
All right, so as you know, Jake has been booted. First person to go from the Funky Flamingos, and, well, in terms of Spectator Draft, nothing's affected. Now, Noah hates this, but Claire from the Brainiac, she went. They couldn't
Just
keep
the
up.
other night.
Yeah, they couldn't keep up in the challenge, and she's the first one to go from the Brainiacs, and Noah is the only person who put her on the draft. Yeah.
So I don't know how this underdog draft is working out for him, but that's fine.
It's not working out, but it's a thought that counts, right?
Yeah,
it's a thought that counts. Even though I don't think he's probably gonna win. He's probably gonna take Evan's spot in the hub. Next, we have Challenge 3. Challenge 3 was a scavenger hunt of A through Z. Find items of, stuff that has the letter A.
Water bottle.
Like water
Thomas.
bottle.
Sarah.
Thomas, S for Sarah, like that. Some castaways struggled. Some castaways struggled pretty hard with it. I don't blame them. It's not easy to find
X.
XYZ.
X on campus. Where's the X?
Not many places. And Morgan was relentless with picking whether or not something counted. Well, if you want to know where that led for the castaways, it gave them nothing.
Yeah, we didn't have a reward for that.
No reward.
Which is fun.
Just
see who was dedicated enough to put in time into the game. We just wanted to gauge, who's doing the work.
so maybe there was a reward, and it was of intelligence, of your own.
For the production.
And
the Castaways did
put
see
in the work and the hours, and
who was really dedicated and who was going to give the effort and who would take stuff for themselves.
yeah.
Which was okay. Our next challenge, our immunity challenge, was our Jackbox game in person on Saturday. Not that many people showed up from each tribe. It was about half from each. From the Flamingos, there were 5 castaways: Evan, Liam, Margaret, Alec, and Rachel. And from the Brainiacs, it was also 5 castaways: Izzy, Cassidy, Ricky, Amy, and Charlie. We've been in a bit of a COVID outbreak, so it makes sense that a lot of castaways were sick or, couldn't come. But, why are you moving from me? You were the one that was quarantined.
What? Oh, I wasn't making any assumptions towards you.
Okay.
No.
Anyway, the Flamingos won 3 out of the 4 Jackbox games, kind of emerging them as this powerhouse when it comes to equal contribution from each member. Because, as we know, the Temple Run Challenge, Amy sort of carried the Brainiacs for that. And seeing as this was about more like teamwork and like overall being funny and knowing trivia, the Flamingos did win 3 out of the 4 games, but Izzy won the Quiplash round and won the walkie-talkies that have been used in the current challenge that is going on as we're recording these videos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on to our first tribal. It was Jake. We actually just interviewed him, so you get to hear his opinions about that. There were not very many. It just shows how much communication these tribes have. The Flamingos were very adamant about communicating. They were in their one-on-ones constantly, talking all the time, and it was really interesting to see how important these one-on-ones are to have at the beginning of the game, because I know in my season, I only really had 2 chats, so it was kind of a weird situation where it was like, I didn't know who was voting for who, even though we all ended up voting for Gay Isaac at our first tribal. But this one day, there was a lot of communication, a lot of changing. It was like, oh, we should do Bobby, we should do Jake, we could do the third person that they wanted to vote out. But, 2 people voted for Bobby, which were, 3, Jake, Rachel, and Alec, and then the rest of the tribe did vote for Jake, leading his being voted out.
Yeah. Treble 2. The Brainiacs were on the spotlight this time, and unfortunately, Claire was the one who had to go, making it the first person to affect a draft. It was nearly unanimous. I don't think maybe one person voted other way, some other Castaway, but
I think it was probably herself.
I think it was herself, maybe. She even just said that she felt she should go, which that's quite a thing to say, especially when it's supposed to be contributing to a team and like going to win.
But if you know you're not going to be dedicated enough, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, Cassie pretty much rallied the votes for this one. Don't think it's really part of a villain arc or anything, sneaky or tricky. I think it was just there was a clear vote, and it's like, hey, look, here's the facts, and this is who we should vote. I don't think it was anything super special.
I did just check; it was unanimous except for Claire herself, so that's unanimous. Yeah.
Let's move on to the weekly highlights.
So during the Jackbox challenge, if you hadn't heard, which is kind of surprising, Zoe made a big birthday announcement to Cassidy and gave her a cup of peanut butter and a song and a picture of Popcat. And during that time, when the Castaways came back, they had not all, but there were some people that had received mysterious letters that were in the shape of like a butterfly or, according to some castaways, like a paper plane. They didn't all say anything, but they opened these letters and there was some strange code there, and it led to some of them, not all of them, have like decoded them and found weird like letters. I don't know, and stuff about like what, like I don't know, like something about like they get like decks, like they get these decks of cards.
They got
from the Carl bot, who's been renamed Code Turtle. So I don't know what's up with Carl. Identity crisis. Like, I will support you, Carl. I will support you no matter what. But yeah, that's kind of where that's been going. It's just a little weird.
I think Carl's the imposter, and we should vote him out.
There's been a little bit of more stronger alliances, but the castaways that have been active are active, and the ones that haven't have not. So that's really all I have to say about that.
We'll have to see what happens with these items and what they can be used for, because Abby has her green rock, and now we have these dealers decks all around. We'll have to see what they do, if anything.
Yeah.
And then let's move on to Castaway of the Week. Yeah.
All right, my Castaway of the Week was Evan. He's been putting so much effort into this game so far. And like with the whole mysterious code thing, I was talking to my friend Margaret, and she was talking about how she, Evan, and Liam were like driving around for hours after their Jackbox challenge to find their things, and they didn't turn up with anything. And Evan's just been so dedicated into that, and other aspects of Survivor too. He's been really been playing the game and making at least these connections with Liam and Margaret. So I'm excited to see what he does, even though he says he wants a villain arc. Which, I mean, so far he hasn't really been that villainous, but then again, Hayden wasn't that villainous until later in the season either. So.
Yeah, we'll have to see where that goes. So my pick for the Castaway of the Week is another funky flamingo, and I'm going with Rachel. I don't know, something about her. I think she has potential. She's not showing much in terms of chatting, but she was able to show up Saturday to Jackbox. And, she contributed to the team, and ultimately the Funky Flamingos came out on top. I think maybe it's worth looking at people who, maybe they're not saying much, but they're putting in the effort for the challenges, which is a lot of people at the moment. Hopefully they start talking soon, because then it's going to get boring. And we don't want boring, right?
No, we don't want boring at all. I hope that more people start getting involved, at least maybe once the numbers have dwindled down a little bit more.
With COVID, it's a bit messy. We'll see. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Dad of Weinberg, please protect us.
But yeah, that's really all for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching, tuning into our podcast, and I hope that you. Well, I guess this isn't really a podcast, and I hope you watch our interview with Jake. And yeah, I guess it's time to head home, right?
Yeah. Back to Cassidy's walls we go.
Yes, we do live in there.
We live in our walls.
Bye.
Bye.